She is not the first great athlete to ever get famous. But she might be the first great athlete to get famous for the wrong reasons, while being undeniable in all the right ones. I am talking about Claressa Shields, two-time Olympic gold medalist, the first boxer in the recorded history of this sport, man or woman, to become undisputed champion in 3 different weight classes. And somehow, this week, the loudest conversation about her has nothing to do with the 2 world titles she just reclaimed in a sold-out arena in Atlanta. The loudest conversation is about whose wife she is, about a nickname that makes grown men giggle, about a rap beef she got dragged into by pure association, about a man whose divorce paperwork, by every public account, is still sitting on somebody's desk. That is the story you have been watching. And here is what you need to understand before we go any further. The story you have been watching was built by algorithms that pay outrage better than they pay excellence. Built by a troll who turned memes into a business model. Built by a diss track campaign that is really a marketing campaign wearing a wig. And while all of it burns, the most decorated female fighter in the history of this sport is walking out of the smoke with 2 belts over her shoulder, calm as anything, because the only arena that has ever truly mattered to her is the one none of these people can follow her into. Does everybody understand how absurd this is? She just delivered one of the most dominant performances of her entire career. 6th round, the towel thrown in, the other corner quitting. And the comment sections are arguing about a relationship that, legally speaking, is a suggestion at best. This video is not about the gossip. This video is about the machine that turns a champion into a side character and then profits off the confusion. We are going to walk through the receipts one by one. We are going to talk about why a black woman in sports keeps getting introduced by the man she dates instead of the resume she built. And by the time we get to the part about the business structure underneath this whole circus, and I promise you, we are getting there, you are going to understand something that changes the way you watch every one of these videos from now on. Nobody in this story has ever actually been fighting about love. They have all been fighting about attention. And the only person in the entire cast who never needed it is the only one they cannot stop talking about. Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit like, and subscribe. Let's get into it. Now, before we go any deeper, we have to set the table properly, because half of you clicked this video already knowing the names, and the other half clicked because you saw the word wife in a thumbnail and smelled smoke. Both of you need the full context. So let me take you back. Remy and PAPOose are one of the most famous couples in the history of New York hip-hop. Together for the better part of 2 decades, married in 2016, the poster couple for what the culture called black love. They were the couple that survived prison, survived the industry, survived everything. And they built that brand so carefully that when it cracked, the crack echoed. And here is where the timeline gets specific, because the dates matter more than the drama. In December of 2024, Remy Ma went public with a kind of announcement that ends eras. She announced, in her own words, that her husband and Claressa Shields were dating. Not a rumor, not a blog post, an announcement from the wife herself. And the internet legitimately shook. From there, the separation happened. The story became a permanent headline. And by May of 2025, PAPOose filed for divorce. And according to the reporting at the time, he filed claiming Remy Ma had been unfaithful to him, allegedly numerous times over the course of the marriage. Now, I want you to sit with that for a second, because that detail changes the shape of everything. The man who was publicly accused of moving on too fast turned around and said the relationship had been broken long before Claressa was ever in the picture, allegedly. And the divorce? Still not final. Not as of this week. Not as of the reporting we are looking at today. One of the parties, according to the chatter, seems to be in no rush to sign, and that delay is doing heavy lifting in the narrative war, because as long as there is no signature on the paper, there is no X, there is only still married. Now let's talk about who the third name in this triangle actually is, because that is the part of this story that the gossip pages keep accidentally skipping. Claressa Shields is not a reality show cast member who picked up boxing gloves for a storyline. She is a kid from Flint, Michigan, who won Olympic gold twice before she turned 21, turned professional, and proceeded to do something no fighter in the modern era has ever done. She became undisputed champion in 3 separate weight classes, for belts at a time, a resume that the sport itself has never seen from a man or a woman. She has her own rap name, her own brand, her own merchandise, her own legion of fans, and a professional record that has made the word GWOAT, greatest woman of all time, an actual debate instead of a joke. So the stakes here are not small. Reputation stakes. A generation of casual fans now know her as the other woman in a rap divorce instead of the greatest female boxer alive. Financial stakes. Every endorsement conversation, every sponsorship meeting, every brand deal gets harder when the Google image of you is a meme. Cultural stakes. The way this plays out determines how the next black woman champion gets introduced to the world, by her titles or by her man. And systemic stakes. This whole circus is being monetized by people who do not care about any of those people at all. That is the tension we are carrying into this video. The question at the center of it all, and I want you to hold it the entire time, is this. Of all the people talking this week, how many of them are actually talking about Claressa Shields? And how many of them are just talking? Because there is a difference. And the difference is the whole video. Let's move into the receipts now, because this is where the story really starts to tell on itself. And I'm going to start with the loudest fact in the entire timeline. 1 week ago tonight, August 15th, 2026, Claressa Shields stepped into the ring at State Farm Arena in Atlanta in front of a sold-out crowd, took on unified champion K. Scott, and did not just win. She dismantled her. 6th round, the corner threw in the towel, and Claressa walked out of there with the WBC and WBA middleweight championships back around her waist, a dominant statement performance that the sports media covered exactly the way it deserved to be covered. And then everybody went back to arguing about a rapper's ex-wife. That is the first piece of evidence, and it is the most important one. So do not let it get buried. While every gossip engine on the internet was spinning the PAPOose wife narrative at maximum RPM, she was out here reclaiming hardware in front of a packed house. Does everybody understand how crazy that contrast is? Now, the second piece of evidence is where the comedy kicks in, because it shows you exactly how the rumor machine processes information. Somebody dug up a video of Claressa flashing a ring on an Instagram live and saying, and I quote, "You see this big OL ring on my finger. Bling, bling, bling. Engaged." And the internet lost its entire mind. Engagement confirmed. PAPOose popped the question. Headlines everywhere. The comment section set on fire. Except one problem. The video was old. Resurfaced, recycled, and reposted as fresh tea when the reporting quickly confirmed it was from 2024, from her engagement to an entirely different man, her ex, Tony Rich. She literally had to go on the Shade Room and clear the air about engagement rumors that never happened. Let me say that again. The rumor mill invented an engagement from a 2-year-old clip of a ring her ex gave her, and half the internet bought it, because nobody checked the date. The narrative does not need truth, people, it needs momentum. Third piece of evidence, and this is the one the T-Pages had a field day with the merchandise. Claressa's team dropped a limited edition Damani X Claressa Shields lip combo, the Miss Shields combo, and according to the posts and the chatter around them, it sold out fast. She posted a thank you to everyone who purchased, and then the T community started asking questions, allegedly questioning how many units were actually in that inventory, allegedly noticing that her name was nowhere to be found on the products or the packaging, and allegedly side-eyeing the timing of everything attached to it. Now I'm going to be straight with you. Some of that merch chatter is rumor territory, and I am labeling it as such because I do not traffic in allegedly as fact. But what the merch moment proves for real is that her brand moves product, the combo sold through, period. And that is exactly why the narrative war around her is worth fighting in the first place. Fourth piece of evidence, the music. Because Remy Ma did not just post, she went to the booth. First came WYFL, which stands for Why You Fucking Lying, a track that, according to the reporting, took direct shots at PAPOose and at the ghostwriting claims attached to his name. Reports framed it as PAPOOse's camp claiming he wrote the overwhelming majority of her material, allegedly as high as 90%, and Remy answering that on wax. Then most recently she dropped one ago, flipping a crime mob classic, a track that, per the reporting, landed as a direct answer to Claressa appearing on Cam Newton's platform and talking her business out loud. And according to the T, the visual reportedly recruited 2 of Claressa's biggest boxing rivals for cameos. Now, I need you to understand how layered that is. Remy Ma is not dissing a rapper. She is dissing a boxer, using boxers inside a boxing narrative to attack the boxing champion's personal life. That is not a rap beef. That is a campaign. And we have barely scratched the surface, because everything I just showed you is the stuff on the top shelf, the visible, verifiable, scrollable facts. The deep stuff is where this story actually lives. And oh, do I have more for you? And oh, do I have more for you? Because the surface stuff was just the appetizer, and the entree is the part of this story that makes the surface stuff look clean. So if you are a Remy Ma fan watching this, I already know what you are typing in the comments, and you can save the keystrokes, because we are about to get to the part where the narrative gets genuinely messy. And I need every set of eyes in this chat to see it with the same standards. And if you are a 50 Cent fan, oh, you specifically are going to want to hear this next section because your guy is a main character in it, and not in the way the memes have been telling you. So everybody get comfortable because this is where the receipts start getting personal. And the first one involves the pettiest CEO in hip-hop history. The cultural layer of this story is where the real players show up. And the first one is 50 Cent, because of course it is. Back in March of this year, Fif did what Fif does. He posted a photo of Claressa with a caption implying she was cheating on PAPOose, allegedly, with the GWOAT affiliate going by the name Maserati Bud. And the internet did what it always does when 50 posts, which is treat a meme like a federal indictment. PAPOose responded the way rappers respond. He went to the booth and started dropping diss tracks aimed at 50 Cent. And Claressa responded the way someone with actual money responds. She reportedly threatened legal action, posting, according to the reporting, something to the effect of you getting sued, you can't lie, and put bodies on me. And insisting through the outlets that she was taking legal action against him over the cheating allegations. So now we have the meme merchant, the entrepreneur of pettiness himself, taking a victory lap on the personal life of a two-time Olympic champion, and the champion responding with lawyers. But then the story flipped into pure comedy, because weeks later, Claressa came out and said she would drop the lawsuit entirely. She would drop it if 50 Cent gets in the ring and boxes PAPOose. Does everybody understand what she just did there? She took the pettiest beef on the internet and made it a promotion. She is literally willing to forgive a lawsuit for the chance to watch her man beat a 51-year-old mogul up in a boxing ring. And honestly, at that point, everybody has to respect the audacity, because that is the kind of chaos you cannot script. That is public evidence number one in the cultural layer, and it tells you a lot about the company she is choosing to keep and the circus she is willing to walk through. Second piece of cultural evidence, and this one is important because it is them choosing to tell their own story. Back in December of last year, Claressa and PAPOose sat down together on the Breakfast Club, promoting their Bars on Wheels project, talking black love, talking Remy Ma, talking boxing, and Claressa spent real time on that platform addressing the way 50 Cent had been trolling them, making her position clear. She said something along the lines of people lying on your cat, just being foul, and she laid out, in her own words, why she chose PAPOose and how she sees the relationship. Now strategically, that interview was a masterclass in narrating over the noise. She went to a respected platform, told the story on her terms, looked calm while the world screamed around her. It did not stop the noise, but it shifted the framing, at least for people who actually listen. Third piece of cultural evidence, and this one is a timeline collision that should make every content creator in this chat sit up. The same week Remy Ma dropped one ago, PAPOose reportedly revealed new ink, a tattoo dedicated to Claressa, permanent ink, on his body, while the diss track played on every timeline. Now think about that for a second. One side is releasing a song. The other side is literally putting the name in the skin. Permanent ink versus a streaming drop. That is not just a rebuttal. That is a whole different category of commitment. And the image war between those two gestures tells you everything about where the two people in this triangle actually stand. And the fourth piece of cultural evidence circles all the way back to Atlanta, because according to All Hip Hop, days after the fight, August 19th, Remy Ma escalated the feud with a fight night stunt in Atlanta, right on the heels of Claressa capturing those two championships, while PAPOOse's new ink was trending. So let me lay this out plainly. The same week the woman wins 2 world titles in a sold-out arena, the ex-wife is doing event-level escalation around her, allegedly, and the boyfriend is getting tattooed. The fight happened in the ring, but the war is happening in the culture, and it is completely disconnected from the actual boxing. Now, I am a fair person, and I want to pause here and give every argument its due, because credibility matters more than clicks on this channel. To Remy Ma's credit, and I mean this sincerely, she was publicly humiliated. If the reports are accurate, she discovered her husband's alleged relationship the way the rest of the world did. She built an entire public brand on a marriage that did not survive, and she has every right to be angry, to be hurt, to be messy, to be human about it in public. Nobody gets to tell her how to process that. But here is the part where the fairness stops and the analysis kicks in. The man she's fighting to keep, by the public record, filed for divorce, citing his own allegations of her infidelity allegedly numerous times. So the marriage, by his version of the story, was already over in substance long before it ended in paperwork. And more importantly, for this video, even if you grant Remy Ma every single ounce of her pain, it does not change what Claressa Shields does inside those ropes. Not one of those feelings lands a jab. None of that hurt takes a round. The diss tracks do not show up at weigh-in. And that is the hard gear shift, because from here, we are leaving the gossip column completely. And we are about to talk about the business underneath all of this. And I promise you, this is the part that will make you see the whole story differently. Now I need you to understand something that none of the T pages are going to explain to you, because they are too busy collecting the engagement to notice the architecture. So let's take a hard left turn out of the drama and into the system, because everything we just watched is not a series of accidents. It is a distribution model. There is a machine in hip-hop media that runs on a very simple calculation. Conflict converts, chaos compounds. And a champion is boring until you attach a scandal to her name. That is angle one, the narrative economy. Think about the actual economics of the content we have been consuming today. A video titled Claressa Shields reclaims 2 world titles, gets a fraction of the clicks of a video titled PAPOose's Wife Speaks Out. That is not an opinion, that is an algorithm. And the algorithm does not care about legacy. It cares about engagement time. The gossip industrial complex, reaction channels, T-pages, commentary creators, even the ones in this exact niche, we all eat when the drama is hot. And the drama stays hot when we frame the woman as a side character in someone else's love story, instead of the protagonist of her own career. I am not excluding myself from that critique. By the way, the reluctant truth teller has to look in the mirror too. But here is what the math says. The side chick versus wife framing is the cheapest, highest yield content product in the entire culture right now, because it requires 0 research, 0 boxing knowledge, 0 respect. And it generates maximum outrage from every fan base involved. Remy fans are furious at Claressa. Claressa fans are furious at Remy. PAPOose fans are confused. And all 3 groups are liking, commenting, and sharing while the platforms collect the inventory. Do you see it? The feud is not a feud. It is a content pipeline, and the raw material is a woman's reputation. Angle 2 is the sport itself, the boxing business. And this is where the story gets genuinely expensive. Women's boxing has spent the last decade fighting for what male fighters take for granted. Main event slots, fair purses, network promotion, respect. Claressa Shields is the figurehead of that entire fight. She is the woman whose name opens the conversation that everybody else benefits from. So what does it do to her leverage, to her negotiating position, to her next contract, when the general public knows her as the girlfriend in a messy divorce instead of the greatest female fighter alive? It chips the brand, and the brand is the asset that converts titles into dollars. And here is where the duck hunting comes in, because you cannot tell this story without talking about Chris Cyborg. Cyborg, who, per her own public statements, has said 2026 is her final year in combat sports, has been publicly offering Claressa a reported $2 million to box her at 160 pounds before the end of the year. And when Claressa shut it down, Cyborg flipped the framing and started calling it duck hunting season, accusing the champion of running from the money, allegedly claiming Claressa took a smaller purse elsewhere instead. Now on the surface, that is just more trash talk. Underneath, it is a masterclass in narrative leverage. If you cannot get the fight, you manufacture the story that the other fighter is scared. A claim that does not survive contact with Claressa's actual resume. By the way, given that she has already publicly dismissed Cyborg's combat credibility, pointing out that Cyborg, in her words, quit in 4 rounds in her last boxing outing. But the mechanism is the point. In the modern fight business, the narrative is negotiated before the contract is, and whoever controls the story controls the purse. The people shoveling duck discourse are not doing it because they believe it. They are doing it because it moves the negotiation into their favor. And angle 3 is the media power dynamic, the meta layer that ties all of this together. Look at the actual cast of characters running the circus and what they are really doing. 50 Cent does not make music about Claressa. He makes memes about her because memes are his currency, and every share converts to his brand while her lawyer's phones heat up. A lawsuit threat, by the way, that he reportedly shrugged off because even the controversy is free promotion for him. PAPOose's legal team, according to the reporting, sent Remy ma cease and desist over the diss track, a letter that allegedly called the song profane and intended to embarrass him. And what did the letter accomplish? It became content. The entire internet read about the letter, argued about the letter, and streamed the song that the letter was trying to stop. Do you see the pattern? Every response in this ecosystem, the memes, the letters, the lawsuits, the diss tracks, the resurfaced videos, is fuel. And every player is participating in a system that converts mutual destruction into mutual visibility. The only person not participating is the one with the actual job to do. Which brings me to the part of this video that is going to make the subscribers and break the tourists. So listen close, because this is where everything we have talked about finally connects. Here is the truth bomb, and I am going to walk it out slowly so it lands all the way. The nickname Pap's wife, the entire mistress, side chick, entanglement, pick-me nickname industrial complex that has been attached to Claressa Shields for the better part of 2 years, is not gossip. It is strategy. It is the most efficient brand reduction device in modern media. And it is being deployed by people who understand exactly what they are doing. Every name in this story is feeding it for a different reason. Remy Ma feeds it because it is her outlet and her leverage, and nobody can begrudge her that. 50 Cent feeds it because controversy is his business model, and her name is the most valuable free asset his timeline has seen in years. Cyborg feeds it because narrative pressure is the only weapon she has to force a fight that Claressa does not need. The T-pages feed it because it pays the bills, and the algorithms feed it because it is the most efficient engagement engine on the entire internet. And what all of them share functionally is this. They are all using her personal life to keep her out of the conversation about her professional life. Think about the week we just witnessed. The most decorated female boxer in history returns from a dominant statement victory. 2 belts reclaimed, sold-out arena, the corner quitting in the 6th, and the cultural conversation, per every metric that matters, was still about who she is dating and what her ex's ex said about her. The fight happened. The fight was historic. And the discourse around it was dominated by people who could not beat her with gloves. So they fight her with captions. That is not random. That is the product. And here's the part that requires maximum honesty, because I am not going to sit here and pretend Claressa Shields is an innocent bystander in her own story. Allegedly, she has chosen to ride this out in public, chosen the interviews, chosen the joint appearances, chosen the man with the unfinished divorce. And that choice has cost her dearly in the court of public opinion, whether it was fair or not. But watch what the receipts actually show when you line them up. The resurfaced engagement clip that the rumor mill used against her turned out to be an old video from a previous relationship, a fabrication that she had to actively debunk. The merchandise narrative bent toward brand deal grift turned out to be a beautiful product that sold through. The cheating video that 50 Cent teased turned out to be alleged slander that she reportedly threatened to sue over. And the diss tracks aimed at her heart keep arriving while she keeps winning the fights that actually count. The gap between the narrative and the record is the whole story. And the gap opens wider every single week. So let me say it plainly, because this is the level of truth that this channel exists for. They are not calling her Pap's wife because she is small. They are calling her Pap's wife because she is big, the biggest name in the room, the hardest target to hit in the ring. So they attack the only thing they can reach, which is the story around her. The highest value insult in modern media is the one that shrinks a giant. And every single day this week, millions of people have consumed a product designed to shrink the greatest female boxer of all time into the girlfriend of a rapper whose divorce is still in the mail. And the cruelest part of the whole machine is that it works. It works on timelines, it works on search results, it works on casual fans who will never watch her fight but will absolutely share the meme. The narrative is winning the headline war. But here is what the machine does not understand. And this is the part one need you to tattoo on your brain. Headlines expire. And resumes do not. The meme will be forgotten. The belts will not. And that brings us to the resolution, because every good story deserves to end with the right person still standing. And in this story, the right person has been standing the whole time. Walk back through the evidence with me, because the reframe matters. The engagement rumor that was supposed to embarrass her, an old clip with her ex, exposed the rumor mill as the sloppy, date-blind machine it really is. And she walked out of that controversy with her name clean and the shade pages holding the bag. The merchandise narrative that was supposed to paint her as a grifter. The combo sold out, the customers were happy. And a champion monetizing her own brand is not a scandal, it is the job. The lawsuit threat against 50 Cent that was supposed to make her look fragile. It made her look serious, willing to back her name with consequences. And then she flipped the whole board and turned it into a dare that had the entire internet laughing. And the diss tracks that were supposed to break her down. She answered them the way she answers everything, with her fists in front of a packed house, with 2 belts around her waist. Now I want you to hear the contrast one-liner that summarizes this entire story, because it is the cleanest sentence I have written in months. While they were all arguing about whose woman she is, she walked out of the arena proving whose sport it is. One person in this story has a discipline that cannot be trolled, cannot be dissed, cannot be distracted. She trains, she fights, she wins, and she lets the world scream around her like weather. The other people in this story, and I say this with compassion, not cruelty, are performing their pain, their pettiness, and their politics into a camera, hoping the algorithm loves them back. And the algorithm will not love them back, because the algorithm does not love anyone. It just consumes. Claressa does not need the algorithm for what she does to the sport. The sport needs her. That is the difference between a legacy and a storyline. And everybody watching this video knows the difference in their gut, even if they have never had to articulate it. So here is the closing thought on the hero's journey as it actually stands. The woman who was supposed to be humiliated by this entire saga is, right now, sitting on top of the middleweight division with the biggest platform in women's boxing, a merch line that moves, an endorsement story that survives the noise, and a career trajectory that does not depend on the next diss track or the next meme or the next courtroom filing. The people who tried to make her small are exactly as small as they started, and she is exactly as big as her resume says she is. The right person is still winning. And if you can watch this whole saga with clear eyes, you can see that she never actually stopped. But here's the thing, this is only the start, and I do not say that as a closer, I say it as a forecast, because this story has 3 live wires that are going to spark in the very near future, and you're going to want to be in the room when they fire. Wire number 1, the divorce. Every report we could find this week still has PAPOose and Remy not officially divorced, separated, contentious, in process, but no final decree. And the instant that paperwork lands, the entire mistress framing that has powered this narrative legally evaporates. That moment is a narrative earthquake waiting to happen. And the only thing we do not know is the date on the calendar. Wire number 2, the boxing calendar. Because Claressa is not slowing down, she just reclaimed the middleweight titles. The rumor mill has been floating names like Katie Taylor and Alicia Baumgardner for the biggest possible showdowns. And Chris Cyborg has put a reported $2 million and a self-imposed end-of-year deadline on a fight that Claressa, so far, does not want. If that fight happens, it is a crossover event the size of a pay-per-view planet. And if it does not happen, the duck hunting season narrative gets its permanent test in front of the whole sport. Both outcomes are enormous content. Wire number 3, Remy because she has made it clear she is not finished. The wanna-go rollout, the reported boxing rival cameos in the visual, the fight night stunt in Atlanta, the sequel energy, the interview tour that has been teased but not delivered, the second chapter of this music campaign is coming allegedly, and everything about her playbook says it will be louder than the first. So do you understand now why I said this is only the start? This saga has been running for the better part of 2 years. And it has somehow gotten bigger every single month. Bigger fights, bigger tracks, bigger lawsuits, bigger everything. And the woman at the center of it has not flinched once, which tells me the story is nowhere near its final round. If you have made it to this point in the video, you are amazing, and you are exactly the kind of viewer this channel was built for, somebody who wants the receipts with the analysis, the drama with the depth, the tea with the truth. So drop a comment telling me which side of this wire you think sparks first, the divorce, the fight, or the music. Hit like if you ride with the GWOAT, and subscribe right now, because when the next chapter of this story drops, and it is going to drop, trust me, it is already being written, you are going to want to hear it here first, with a full breakdown and the receipts attached. And before you go, let me plant the seed for the next video, because there is a story underneath this one that nobody in the commentary space has touched, and it is the one I am coming for next, the contract. Not PAPOOse's divorce papers. The other contract, the one that explains why the most decorated female boxer in history keeps having to fight uphill for the purses, the slots, and the respect that lesser male fighters get handed by default, and why a woman with 3 undisputed championships still has to battle for a headline. The numbers in that story are going to make you angry in a way no meme ever could, and I promise you, when we get there, you are going to understand that this whole Pap's wife circus was never about her at all. It was the cover story for the real fight, the one she has been fighting her whole career. That video is coming. You do not want to miss it. But for right now, this is the truth, this is the tea, and this is the channel that serves both. No cap, no compromise, no pretending. I am out. GWOAT forever.